Hi everyone, my name is Leah. I am originally from Uzbekistan. I am a musician, a piano player specifically. I study at RCS right now, and I'm also a media manager for Hampstead Early Years Music Education Center. And so today we decided to open up a discussion regarding music education and school in general and how things are working for some people. And we have Maria Vraka today, who's is director and founder of Hampstead Early Years Music Education Center, as well as a person who wrote and started the Music Genius method. So, welcome, Maria. Thank you so much for doing this. So let's just talk about HEMEC for a little bit. Just what is it about? How did it start and everything else?
So HEMEC is a center dedicated to early years. So we have classes for babies from 4 months, and we have a specially designed curriculum for different groups. So we go for babies from 16 months to 2 years, then from 2 years to 3 years, 3 to 4. So depending on their developmental milestones, I have tried to create or found from other programs as well, programs that kind of will be appropriate for their development at that time in their lives. We have families coming to the center from moms from when they are pregnant. We have seminar for pregnant moms because it's not well known, but the hearing is the first sense that is developed 3 months, even before, like 4 months before birth. But from 3 months onwards, the children start creating memories. They can remember what they were listening while they were in a fetus form when they are born. So there is a lot of research behind that. And then we have individual instrument lessons. And recently we started opening this kind of invitation to other professionals and to share experiences about what it means to teach these early years and what it means to teach online. So we have webinars that we are running at the moment. So it's a whole kind of universe together. So yeah, it started 4.5 years ago. I have a PhD in music education myself. So, and I worked in academia for 8 years on and off. So I use a lot of that experience and also read a lot about what is happening. So I'm trying to just incorporate that in our programs. So that's HEMEC.
That's amazing. Sounds like a lot of fun and a lot of stuff that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So just to kind of open up a discussion, I think the idea behind what we wanted to do with these kind of podcasts slash videos is to inspire people. I mean, me and you have been both working on different little projects to post on our social media during this lockdown period. One of them was HEMEC Recommends. So it was when HEMEC was recommending different teachers and different players, to people around. Then now we wanted to do this series called HEMEC Inspires, so we can just share kind of the inspiration and love, maybe creativity tips or ideas for people out there, who may be struggling. So just kind of to start off our discussion, I want to ask you first question. How did you find the year of lockdown and restrictions kind of coming in and out, and how has it affected you as a teacher and also as a businesswoman, if you may, if I can call you that, in the arts?
We are now almost a year since the first lockdown, and in that year, my studio has been closed for 9 months. So the effect that the lockdowns had financially to the whole business was instant and quite severe, because in one night I lost 60% of the work, without knowing when I'm going to be able to go back and teach again. Also because of the nature of my classes, I teach babies, I teach children that most of my students are up to the age of 5. So it's not easy to do to do lessons online. At least for me, I just couldn't put my head around it. But there is another 40% of my students that are older and know me, and we started doing online classes. And because of their support and their kind of commitment, and they are willing to just keep things normal, I managed to survive financially. And while I was paying my bills, I had the extra time to start creating things for the classes that I couldn't teach uh, online. I had incidents of children that were crying, 3 to 4 year olds, when I was asking them to, I don't know, find a pencil and write something on a piece of paper. Like, it was so, they seemed to they relied on me so much for me to be present next to them. So the lockdown challenged me that way, to find a way of communicating with the babies, with 2 year olds or 3 year olds. But there's, I mean, other people use different methods, but for me, I never felt that you could actually communicate online. But what I felt is that I could become kind of a model. I could like show people how to experience music through my body language, through my experimentations with, making little videos and designing colorful pages and all that. So I started creating courses, like materials that I was giving to my students for free, and I was telling them, okay, like this is what I had this idea, try it at home. So the parents had to step up. A lot of them did, but but although it was challenging, and it changed the nature of my day, how I, I work, because I have a child as well. So homeschooling took a lot out of the day as well. It made me more creative and more grateful at the end of this, because I realized how much I've built around me a network of supportive people, and for that I'm lucky and very grateful, and I've worked very hard for it. But that's what kept me going this year. So business wise, I'm not so sure how well we did, but we're still live, and we're still creating new things, and there are new fresh ideas. So we are just kind of ready to go as soon as we are allowed to go back face to face. A lot of new exciting things are waiting for us.
That's amazing. It's definitely exciting. So you mentioned something about kind of using this lockdown period, the time where you're at home, let's say the commuting is not an issue. You said that it actually freed you in some ways. You said that, you had more creativity, you had time finally to create something. I think uh, just the HEMEC in general now started having different webinars and stuff, and that seems like a new passion of ours. Um, what was the main reason behind starting these webinars? What are you passionate about?
Um, I My experience as a teacher and as a musician, and somebody that has gone through all the stages of education. I mean, from up to a PhD. So I've done the whole. I've I have been quite lonely. I felt that I didn't find a lot of people in my journey that kind of we agreed and we could walk a path together. But when I found one, two, three people in my life, it exploded. Like, it opened for me such opportunities in my mind, most of all. So I always wanted to communicate with new teachers, and we have a plan of creating a course for teachers that want to teach early years, but it's still in the research stage. But this lockdown was an opportunity to share. because it opened kind of new ways of communicating with people that we are not in the same city, we're not even in the same country, and but communicate in a more free way, so like in a more practical as well way. So the webinars that we're trying to offer is webinars that talk mostly about practical solutions to problems that we had. So, for example, our first webinar was how you become a more effective teacher online, and Millie did the first one. The second one, which is my one, I would like to show how I approach piano teaching for 4-year-olds, which is something a lot of people are against it. And I understand why, but there is a way of approaching the teaching that not only will make them excited about learning, but will also help them develop certain cognitive abilities and all that. And then the third is yours, which where it's like, okay, let's talk business. Like, how do you advertise yourself? How do you use like social media uh, to your benefit? Because since you started with HEMEC last September, I mean, I personally have seen a huge growth, because my ideas kind of uh, are finally, I can see them online. Although before I didn't have the time, or sometimes I just they never find a way to be advertised. So it's great. Yeah. So that was the idea of the webinar. The webinars are mostly about creating a community and being useful to people, and also being open to a discussion, learn from the people as well, because of course we always, every day we learn new things. So that's the idea of the webinar.
Amazing. So, for the webinars, I was just gonna ask you um, why would you recommend your webinars to, let's say, music teachers out there, or let's say music school owners just like yourself? What's the actual reason you want them to attend the webinars? Is it, meeting new teachers? Is it like sharing ideas, or is it self growth?
Yeah, my my webinar, it's coming from a question that I always get, like, which book should I start with? What's the best book for that age? Um, and I don't believe there is a best book. I think there are a few books written especially for this time. I am trying to finish a book myself as well, but I want to show with a webinar that you don't need to have a book, that you can create your own materials. There are a couple of things that um, will help you, guide you as to how you pick up you choose your repertoire. Where do you start from? I mean, how do you describe the notes? How do they learn rhythm? How all of these theory things? Because when a child comes to you at 7, the first thing you learn is middle C, first finger, one,
Yeah.
two, three, four. All of that is, for a 4-year-old, there are concepts that the 4-year-old can never understand. First of all, thumb is one of the most difficult fingers to start with. So there are things that I have read about and practiced on, because I have been teaching now for over 10 years, um, piano to really young ones, and some of them have thrived. Some of them, okay, they did okay, but it's not about the method, it's how much piano is expressing them, or it's like, it depends what decisions they will make later in life. But um my webinar is going to introduce that. Also, I'm going to talk about a couple of programs that I use, which have liberated me as well, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, so it's very practical, with a solid scientific, let's say, background. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's amazing. I think it's so important. I mean, I never really learned much about just teaching, especially young kids. I mean, I remember teaching my sister, when she was very young, just kind of just trying things out, just seeing how different it is that she communicates with the keyboard, because she always came and just did this, on the piano. It's this fascination, and it just comes naturally. Who explains to kids that they have to do that? But they mimic, the copy and things like that. So I think what you do is brilliant. I mean, you showed me some videos that you were working with this child, and it's the video is 2 minutes long, and in the 2 minutes, the child, who is literally a baby, not a child, just a small baby, starts clapping and doing things with the rhythms of what you sing and how you do it. So I think for me that was incredible. I was like, somehow I just never came across that. So for sure, I mean, I'm attending a webinar because I want to learn. So it's going to be great. And I just wanted to ask you a final question. uh I um I mean, I'm always very encouraged by you, and I just wanted to ask you, what would your encouragement be right now for teachers out there, and let's say business owners who are struggling, be it emotional or maybe even financial, so people who are kind of trying to find means and meet the means, right now, what would your encouragement be to them?
The first thing I'm going to say, the first lesson that I learned is just focus on what you have. So treat the students that you have already with love. Take care of them because they will bring you the new students. And it's very important to hold on to this, what you have already built. Now, if you're a completely new person coming out of school and you want to start something, um, I would say that again, try to move around people that you know. So talk to your neighbors. I mean, I started all of that 12 years ago with an advert in a cafe in a park. That was how I got my first student.
Wow.
And I have a school now with over 100 children, and which happened the last 4.5 years. But you know, it is a matter of luck as well. I mean, there are a lot of things. There are online platforms where you can put your name and your telephone and all that. But I think creating a buzz around yourself is the best thing. So it's focus more inside rather than trying to put the net very very wide. Um, that's what I learned. I mean, we tried to introduce a couple of new programs, and we failed like massively because this is not the time for people to invest in things that they don't know about. But the other things that they know the HEMEC about have I have managed to maintain and see some growth as well. As long as they can do things online, we keep on getting little by little because the terms are difficult. People don't invest in music lessons or uh, if this is something new in their lives. Everybody says yes, when we go back we do it, when we go back we do it. So that's the first thing, like take care of your student, take care of yourself, and maybe create stuff like this which I learn now, um, this kind of YouTube or little clips or on your Facebook, even if you just share a nice song or you know just share your experience and your love, and I think it comes back to you multiple times. That's my advice. Business wise, you have to go through the grants and all that, it's a whole, I mean, I've been writing all year grants and stuff. We got a grant that saved us for a while, but I have been, that is like, I have applied for 6 grants and I got one. So it's, you have to keep on going if you have a business, and you have responsibilities of other people as well. And you have invested yourself in that. Yeah. So that's my advice. Just love what you have, and it will come back to you with new things.
I love that.
Also, you can communicate with us, especially if you are in London, because yeah, we have some connections with people, so maybe we can help.
That's lovely. I love that. I love that. Help everybody else. Because I think sometimes it just, this industry in general feels a bit competitive, because everybody's doing kind of the same thing. and then everybody's trying to find their own ground, but what you just said, I think, is amazing. Love, because people just forget. I think the one thing that I've learned just working with you for the last 6 months or so is the whole idea of just love the people around you as well, not just people who even work for you, that kind of idea of just taking care of everyone. Because I mean, that's important. Your business is built upon not machines or AIs. It's built upon people, not computers. And that's kind of the idea behind just building relationships. I think that's so important. People forget, I think, especially talking about business, and I'm teaching, this is my thing. You forget that actually, you're inspiring somebody, you are loving onto someone. A kid could have a really bad day in school and their parents are busy or struggling, I don't know, doing things, and suddenly you have a lesson with them and then you make them smile at least a little bit. And I think me growing up and also having, I had about, like, I think 9 teachers, like, uh, uh, by the age of, I think, 15. So, and I started piano when I was 4. I had so many, and I remember the ones that just made me laugh. I mean, yeah, there were ones that really made me practice, but there were ones that I just came and we just had a great time, and it's like a, honey onto your soul. So I think it's great that you said that. I think, I mean, you do that 100% to me as an employee of yours, and also I think just with your pupils as well. So that's great.
But I have been receiving love from parents, from students. I have found a very supportive community. So it's a natural thing. And I am grateful because we are doing our job is really nice and, creative, and you can get it to the other level. And talking about competition, yes, I have found a lot of competition, but I never look at the competition. The area that the center is has at least, when I started, had at least another 20 people doing exactly the same thing that I was doing, but they didn't have their own room. So I was doing the same thing, paying 10 times more bills. So,
Hmm.
so, so it wasn't a very smart move, but that's what I had. That's what I needed. What I want to say is that if you look at the competition, you never go out of your house. And, there is a point where we only have 4 hours the afternoon to work. So don't worry. Sooner or later, we will find the students to cover our hours. So, yeah, I think it's important to create a community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
happy
that.
you feel like that, Leah, because you've been fantastic as well. So yeah, it's good.
Great. This is turning into a hyping up each other session. I love this.
Yeah, very,
That's
very
why I
good.
think
We need that too.
definitely, especially in the middle of a pandemic when you just feel just so down, I think. Just by even by reading the news, you just think that's it. I think it's great to have that as well.
But people don't know that we've never met in person, that you are in Scotland and I'm in London. And who knows when we're gonna manage to see each other. But we managed to work like that, and it works well. So
Definitely working
yeah.
through the struggles. I think what I learned just kind of even interviewing a little bit today is that to make the best out of this, even the struggles that you're having, trying to find what can I do now. I know this is not working and this is going down, but what is the light, in this situation? I think that's so important.
There are times that we cannot think like that because it's so near the danger. But with experience, with the years, you see that, yeah, at the end you always find the solution. And if you how do you say, if it's not, everything works out at the end, and if it doesn't work out, it's not the end. That's exactly the journey of a music teacher, really. So
True.
yeah.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much for everybody who joined. Listen until the end. That's fantastic. You can find us on Facebook. I'll put up the links so you can chat to us. You're more than welcome to email myself or Maria Vraka if you have any more questions, if you want us to cover something else that's very interesting to you. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you very soon.